Hello, food geeks, food scientists, food lovers. Today I'm going to talk about genetic modification and 7 reasons why it could be awesome or why it is awesome. It's all up to you. And in my second video, I'm going to make a video with arguments against genetic modification. And in my third video, I'm going to talk about my personal view of GMO and also why it is. And as last, I'm going to talk about the mechanics of genetic modification. How does it really work? So, let's start with our first one of our top 7 pros for genetic modification. So, your plant gets contaminated by a toxin, for maybe bacillus, and what if you could have prevented it with just genetic modification, just building up a resistance from other genes, from other organisms to your bacillus? And then it said, but good enough, it exists. We can use genetic modification to reduce plant diseases just by giving them a resistance for some kind of virus or bacteria, even the toxins the bacteria produce, and also making a resistance to some insects. So that will increase the amount of crop you have. You don't have to throw away that much, because your plants, your crops are resistant. As long as we don't believe Trump, global warming is really a thing and extreme weather conditions are really a thing. Deserts are growing, the ice is melting, so what are we gonna do? How rough will agriculture be in really dry areas? And with genetic modification, we can exceed those limits of a plant to let them grow in drier temperatures, at higher temperatures, at drier areas, really drought areas, because the Sahara and all the other deserts are really growing, and we see it happen right now. So with genetic modification, we can exploit the limits of those plants, of those crops, to make them survive extremer weather conditions. If we have less problems of making the plants ill because of bacteria, because of viruses, because of insects, we can reduce the amount of pesticides. And pesticides are also like a hazard in a company. Pesticides, particles of the pesticides, can come in your product if you don't have the right steps in your hazard plan, in your HACCP. So really, with genetic modification, we also reduce the amount of pesticides we use, and pesticides are also hazards for the end product. We know that when you're allergic for something, you're allergic for a certain protein, but in fact with genetification, we can get that protein out of the product. But you're mostly allergic for a really specific kind of protein. So if you have an apple allergy, you might have an allergy for a different protein than someone else with an apple allergy. It's a different protein in the apple, so it's really hard. If you have a lot of money, you can customize like an apple for you that doesn't affect you in an allergy way, but this one is quite a stretch. I like a good cucumber, but a cucumber doesn't have a lot of nutrition, It's mainly water, so in fact with genetic modification you can add some nutrients to a cucumber, but it's gonna be a really expensive cucumber, but it is possible, and we can do it with different fruits, veggies, or crops. Improve nutritional value. That's the next one. But also in sensory aspects, genetic modification can change certain sensory properties. The taste might change if you put an apple gene in a tomato. You never know, but it is possible, so it can change and make new flavors. Having genetic modified crops reduce the amount of pesticides. You can have, if you have extreme weather conditions, you can have more to sell. So in dry areas you have still enough crops you could sell, so the percentage of loss of your product is less. This means you could have more profit if you use genetic modification. So that was our last argument for genetic modification, for GMO. In my second video I'm gonna talk about, pretty much arguments against genetic modification, because in some way it's quite taboo. People are scared for genetic modification, and that's because of the argument against. And in my last video I'm gonna talk about my personal opinion of genetic modification. I hope you like this video. You can give me a like or subscribe to the channel or not. I hope you've learned why genetic modification is a good thing, could be a good thing, can be a good thing. And next week I'm gonna say why it's really scary or not. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but still, thank you for watching the video and see you next time.